Available Bleich originals. Almost all paintings are 50% off for this fundraising sale. There will also be sold paintings here for the purpose of considering possible commissions of places that are special to you, as I've traveled throughout and around the world painting on locations that you may have very well visited. I can transform your photograph into more of a dynamic living painting that would grace your home with your own special memories of special times in your life. His seascapes are a powerful vital force in Texas, the Southwesterner. Powerful exhibit. Bleich is able to transform a subject into reality, glowing with light and expression. Georgia Islander. His meticulous canvases reflect his complete identification with his subject, Florida Palm Beach Post, was having a one-man show on Worth Avenue. Bleich paintings have their own light. Massachusetts, Gloucester Times. Beautiful sun-filled paintings of wildflowers, rendered with a Monet-like sensitivity to color harmony, complemented by the luminosity of his dynamic seascape. Unusual luminous quality, a penetrating use of light that shines throughout his work, lifts it from the ordinary to superb artistry. Monterey, this month. Bleich's use of color is effective and dramatic. Carmel Pinecone. George Bleich is a complex man of his time, vitally fulfilling his role as a naturalist, sailor, painter, and teacher. His depth of feeling is matched by the intensity and painstaking developed skills. Combined, they make a powerful statement of a man in tune with himself, his environment, and the forces of nature. The paintings George Bleich creates are known for their haunting power and luminosity of color. Colorado, Artists of the Rockies and Golden West. The first painting was started on the road from Saint-Tropez. It is a 20 by 24, and it's only $1,500 instead of $3,000 for the sale. I was an expert at painting the sea, and I wanted to develop my landscape, so I bought another home in the White Mountains in New Hampshire and dove in with gusto. This is a superb painting from my own collection, done along the Swift River, which flows down along the Kangamangas Highway, where the old man of the mountain was. It's in 1824, $1,500, not $3,000. I love poetry. I've done numerous paintings in and around Robinson Jeffers Hawk Tower, and that was a picture of him within the tower. I have many friends who are poets and enjoy their company and their poems. That one was sold of Robinson Jeffers. Polynesian Abstraction. This was done on the island of Raiatea in the Polynesian Islands. It is a 30 by 36. I like the abstract simplicity of it. It is a $44.50, not $8,900. This was a beautiful painting of one of my favorite places at Point Lobos. It's a 16 by 20, and it's sold. I'm very fond of the Impressionism, and I love Paris. This was done from my hotel room, looking across the Musée d'Orsay. It is a 20 by 24. It is $1,500, not $3,000. You're looking over the Tuileries before you go over to the Musée d'Orsay. There's a big clock in the tower up there, and I've been behind it, looking back the other way. This was done in Paradise Island in the Bahamas. I sailed to the Bahamas from the age of 16. It's a 20 by 24. It's $1,400, not $2,800. I rather like this. I gave it to my mother. It was in her collection for a while. And it was Palm Beach South. And I think Jimmy Buffett's supposed to live not far from where I painted this. It's a beautiful palm tree just waving in the breeze with a lovely surf. Again, it's $1,500. Open Ocean, which was a 12 by 24 at 2000, is sold. I've sailed across open oceans to Bermuda and places like that, and throughout the Caribbean. I was artist in residence in Yosemite when I started this. It was in my own collection. It's a beautiful painting of Nevada Falls. And it's only $1,400, not $2,800. I've done some magnificent works there on the spot. This is Mount Washington, New Hampshire. I'm overlooking Center Conway, where I purchased my home. And off in the distance is Mount Washington. This was a 30 by 48. It was $12,000 and it's sold. It's a beautiful piece, though. This is Mount St. Victoire. It's a 20 by 30. It is $1,750, not $35. I had a very unique experience while working on this. I was painting in one location, and one of the gendarmes came by in his squad car, and I may have let him. He chatted with me for a while, and we enjoyed our company. And he came back and gave me a police badge for the Provence area. Then I went up the road and I'm doing another painting of Mount St. Victoire from another place. And a big truck came behind me that was hauling gravel or that. And the guy got out and he looked like a Navy officer. He was in charge of the operation. And he said I should go up to this hill. It was a great view. Well, I went up there and it was a great view and I enjoyed painting it. There are little flecks of white in the foreground there. And they are actually escargot, so to speak, that were on the branches, and a bit on the dry side. When I came down from there, there was a chain across the road, and literally I was stuck on the wrong side of the road. It growing late. A big truck came and went in and said he wanted to get in, and he couldn't get up. He saw my predicament. He said, "I will go down into the neighboring field and pull you down, so you can get around the chain." And he went in and hooked a chain on my car, and I was concerned he'd pull the front end out. And literally, we were going down like an 8-foot embankment. And he got me down without any damage. He was from Germany, or Alemania, as he would say. I enjoy abstractions, too. I'm very fond of Mondrian. And these are patches from my foam pieces that go around frames that I use as palettes. But they all have little interest in positive and negative areas. And there's an array of rectangular shapes and so forth arranged with a certain sense of rhythm. It's a homage to Mondrian. And it's a 18 by 24. That is $1,300, not $26. This was started in Marietta Town Square in Georgia. I actually completed a number of neat paintings there. And this one is not quite done, but it's refreshing as it is. And it's 30 by 36, and it's a 4450 painted, not 8900. And if you wanted me to complete it more articulately, I'm capable of doing that. This is a very, very early abstraction, probably going back when I first started painting. It was Letters Never Sent. I rather enjoyed it. The vision of areas, colors, the yin-yang sign, what have you. And the abstraction in a little rectangle up at the top of people, I would assume. Lago Lagarda. I love the Italian lake areas. And when it was hot in Rome or southern Italy or anywhere, just go up to the lakes and it's absolutely beautiful. This is a 22 by 28. It is 1900, not 3800. And I believe this is where the general area where St. Angelo de Ricci came from in Italy. And that's the name of the church that I attend in Pacific Grove. I was commissioned to do a painting of Ivy Gate by the Sea, and I did two, and I believe they selected the other one for some reason. And then I repainted this, and I have Jesus on the other side of the gate, and I changed the name from Ivy Gate to Heaven's Gate. I haven't quite finished Jesus yet, but Be Like Heart of the Divine Mercy. It's a 20 by 24, and it's 1400, not 2800. I love this area. Sauberge d'Ile in the Alsace-Lorraine area. There's a famous 3 or 4 star restaurant that one of my collectors enjoyed, and he wanted a commission of it. So I did this one for myself along the banks of the Ile River. You go down a little bit further along the river and you actually found a pillbox. They set up in a specific direction should they be attacked by the Germans back then. This is a 24 by 30 and it's 2,000, not 4,000. It's really a lovely painting. I love painting Admonets, and when I first started this, I just when I was ill and I was on some medication, and I found that the colors were a bit crass, and I've been reworking it, creating more harmony. And it's Monet's Bridge. It's a 22 by 28. It's a very lovely luminous painting, but beautiful color. It's 1900, not 38. I have collectors who own original Monets, Renoirs, and Cézanne who collected my work when I was a young artist. Now they're pretty much going by the wayside. I mean, if they were 70 when I was 25, I don't think they're still alive. They have. Carmel Monastery, Marne. This was 1824 and valued at $3,000 and it's sold. And it was an absolutely beautiful painting, and I gave it to my mother. It's a Carmelite monastery in the background, and I started to paint it a number of years later after I started this one. And I went down there to do some studies in 2013, and the fog had totally obscured the monastery and the hills and that. And I had a very unique experience. I love a breathing meditation called Breathe in Jesus. You do that deeply and you exhale joy, love, and peace. Well, I walked a long way to take photographs to do the next painting I was working on, or to work out some of the details in it, where I wanted to be more like this one. And it was all fogged in, and I had a terrible problem walking in. My leg was in very bad shape at the time. And all I saw was the fog and the hill. No monastery, no hill in fact. And I did the breathing exercise, and as I would exhale, I would say, breathe in Jesus, exhale joy, love, and peace, and blow away the fog. And actually, the fog parted. After perhaps 3 or 4 times, it started whisking away. I took my pictures and it folded back in. There's an interesting video of that day, and the painting I did is, it's of this area. It will be 900. It's a special painting to me for obvious reasons. Jokingly, I said, after that you can call me the fog cutter. Oh, this is a video here. There you can see the fog. In fact, I will play just a very little bit of it. I rather enjoy this. The Carmelite monastery where I went to first was shrouded in the mist. And the song I'm singing had to do with another painting called Dawn, a beautiful painting of the lone cypress. There's also, I needed reference points for This is the interior of the Carmelite Monastery.
Glory in God and praise.
Breathe in deeply the air that baby Jesus is exhaling, and exhale joy, love, and peace. So I did that at the monastery before I went to the Point Logos. I'm going to speed through that. This is just an introduction.
Have faith.
I had to walk down this long trail. That tree, I said, reminded me of what my leg looked like. I was in pretty bad shape at one time. So I was going to be a peg-legged sailor. The walk was beautiful though, and long. After walking in from the highway, which was long, and you finally reach the sea. Whalers Cove, breathe in deep with the good salt air. Now we'll cut ahead a little bit more. And over there you can see it's all fogged in. I couldn't figure out where I started the other painting. I did my breathe in Jesus, exhale joy, love, and peace meditation with one caveat. Blow the fog away.
Your heaven's gatekeepers, serving the good Lord above.
I gently blew my breath across the cove and asked God to move the fog away.
Kingdom of God's love.
That's another one of my songs. I write a lot of spiritual songs. It started to lift and reveal what I wanted to paint or capture in a photograph. I could see the hills and what have you. And then after I took my photographs, the fog started closing in again. Well, it's just, you can see the whole video if you go onto my homepage. Now the church, this is Churchill's Bridge. It's in Provence, in Aix-en-Provence. Winston Churchill was a wonderful painter, and for some reason he was fascinated with this theme. And when he'd go to France, he would go to Provence along this little portion of the River Persay or stream and paint that. So it was called Churchill's Bridge by other people who were knowledgeable. It's 20 by 24, 1400, not 2800. There are a lot of these lovely bridges in France. Now, the background in this color is not in the painting. The painting is of a moonlight scene of Carmel Beach. And by having it in the diamond format, it will occupy a larger space on the wall and be a unique composition. It's a 20 by 20 that is $1,200, not $2,400. It's actually a very lovely painting. You're looking out at Pescadero Point from Carmel Beach with the moonlight and Orion and numerous other constellations. I love the south of France very much, and this is a especially lovely garden at Cap Ferrat in the French Riviera, and I painted a number of sections around this garden. It is a 24 by 30 that is $2,000, not $4,000. Up at the top there's that little, I believe there's a statue of Aphrodite of that, and it's almost like a takeoff of the Temple of Love, and that's in France. I'm trying to recall where I painted that at too, but the another area. Lotus Heaven, Bora Bora. I love Bora Bora. This was done right behind a church which was St. Charles Bartholomew. I find it intriguing that the latest videos I did was at the Cathedral of St. Charles Bartholomew, and it's just called St. Carlos. The one with the where the willows are weaving in the wind, soul dancing. And also I did the Stations of the Cross there for them. This is a 16 by 20, and it's a refreshing painting. It's 1,000, not 2,000. I did not want it to be too complete. I want it to be more of an impressionist painting. This is Thunder Surf, 24 by 36, 2450, not 4900. It's a very dramatic scene. The wave is breaking the horizon, so you know it's a big one. And the Valley's sundown. We just loved Valley. Valley was just a special place for when we painted around the world in 1997. One son was 7, and that was John, and his older brother was an old man of 20. And we just had a wonderful trip. I've traveled throughout the world for years, but that was one trip that I will never forget as being just a great time. This is one of the little agricultural areas in Valley. The Valley sundown is 2,000, by the way, not 4. And this is an agricultural area full of fields of Valley. I just felt like stopping. I'm not even sure what they were growing. It's 1,000, not 2, and it's a 20 by 24. And once again, one of my favorite places is Yosemite, Boardman Bridge. This 20 by 24 is 28, but this paint is also sold. And it was a lovely painting of alpine glow toward the end of the day. Photograph doesn't quite do it justice. The pyramids at Giza, 1,200, and that is sold. And I love, we had some wonderful times in Egypt. We rode camels out to the desert, climbed pyramids, and it was just a great part of our trip. Sunset at Sunset Beach, which is in Hawaii. I love the heart in it. It's a 20 by 24. And it is, should have been 2,800 sold. And if ever you wanted something like this, I would just enjoy reminiscing and doing another painting. I love the heart that was in the sky. And it just, Hawaii just brings back warm memories. That's more than the temperatures. This is Moonlight at Giverny. I had access to the gardens at any time. I was good friends at Giverny, so when I would be painting there, I could go in through the gardener's entrance. I could stay after closing and lock the place up when I leave. If it were cold and wet out, I'd go and paint in the hothouse, where there'd be growing flowers. I probably did more work on location in Giverny than any other artist of the contemporary area, when I say in my time, so to speak. This was an absolutely beautiful painting, one of my favorites, which is in my collection for a long time. My son Eric was born, and I actually had him in one of those baby packs, you know, like that you wear when you hold a baby in front of you, while I was painting that. It was 30 by 48, and it was 15,000. It was a magnificent piece. This is a strong painting, America's Strength. Another place I'm fond of is Monhegan Island. And I'd go out there, and it was just really getting away from everything else. Now, if you come over in some of these paintings on this section, if you click on the thumbnail here, like I am doing, you will get a larger image, just so that you're aware of that. And we're looking down toward Gull Rock, and I believe that's Blackhead up there. I've done some great paintings on Monhegan. Jamie Wyeth used to live over by Christmas Cove, and Philip Shoemaker, who had a strong influence on me, also lived on the island. And this was a dramatic, beautiful painting called America's Strength. Okay, back to the selection. Oh, wait a minute, I have to figure out what I'm doing here. Click on back to selections. Whoop-de-doo. Didn't know I want to go back that far. Get rid of this. And we're going to whisk through this again. This is to give you a general idea of what is available, and there are more that are available. I can share them with you too. But at least this had a group of them together. Also the prices to give you a general idea. This one is absolutely beautiful. To save time, I'll not go back to it right now. There'll be another place, I'm sure. You can do that yourself. Just click on the thumbnail painting and you'll see that beautifully. And you'll see it actually in some of the pictures of the studio that will be on another section over the fireplace, so you'll have a better idea of that. There's a beautiful poem that I wrote, and it put to music too. It had to do with my sundown paintings. May sunset memories set once more at your mind's command, only more slowly, so you can partake of and extend the beauty of the moment. Let us drift back and share once again the beauty of the Pacific Ocean as it takes the sun to its rest, to its sea breast. The light touch of a caress of the mind taking place behind the breaking crest of a rising luminous wave. A wave rising like the energy of sparkling white wine, in a toast to sundown dreams. May your dreams rest just beneath the surface of your mind, where you can recall them from time to time, to share with your loved one, as I do with mine. The merging of dreams with the mingling of time, the excitement of love, the discovery it brings, how it colors the sky with your natural eye, in a toast to sundown dreams. Like grains of sand at the beach close at hand, your days will roll on like the waves. Journeys may take you miles away, but in your heart a memory will stay of the feeling and love you shared that day. So lift your glass of sparkling wine, raise your glass one more time. May your sundown dreams become memories somewhere in time. If you have any pictures of any sundowns that you shared with your loved one, contemplate having me do a commission of it. I'm very good at painting sundowns. This is north of the Lone Cypress. Once again, I'll not go into it. It's a 30 by 40, 9,900 and sold. This one is available, and the Secret of the Seine. And it's a very luminous painting, which is a hallmark of my work. 30 by 40, 4,900, not 9,900. It's an excellent painting, and that is along the Seine River, and I'm in a little town. I started that, and called Benacourt, and I just one of my favorite little places along that area to paint. This one here is a magnificent seascape, and again, it's another favorite place. I had these in my collection for that reason. And this is Makapuu Point. This is a 30 by 30. It's a wonderful painting, and as far as I'm concerned, it's a gift at 4,000, not 8,000. It's a great painting. There's a like an aquarium right across the way, and it was in one of Sandy Sadler's movies on Hawaii. North Shore Sundown, 24 by 30. I believe I'm looking up toward Haleakala. I'm terrible at pronouncing names sometime. And it's 2,000, not 4,000. In fact, I was involved in a memorial celebration for a man from that area. His name was Samuel. And it was kind of strange. I sometimes know things, and the candles actually told me that he was in critical shape and his wife was by his side. And I went to the hospital to comfort them, to be there. And I went to the local hospital. He was actually up in the VA hospital at that time, passing away. But somehow I knew that, and I seemed to, well, I might say, frankly, the candles told me. It had that Hawaiian sign, you know, you have your two fingers up on either side, and looked like Orally standing by his side. This is Roaring Camp up in, it's a neat place where you can get on a train and go to Santa Cruz. Get out of here, I don't know what's happening. go off, please. Hardware scan alert. I don't really need this. Okay, back to and this is a 16 by 20. It's 1,000, not 2,000. There's a railroad track that you can see in the background. There are ducks there. You go under a little covered bridge before you get to this area. Mallory Road is a smaller painting. It is 14 by 18, and it is 800, not 1400. And it's a really neat piece too. Now we're going to run through some sold paintings. This will just perhaps enhance your ideas of commissions. It's an 18 by 24, 26 it's sold. In Care of an Angel, there was actually, I painted an angel in the waves that was breaking, up where it burst in against the rocks, and a lady commissioned me to do this painting. And her husband was a Marine in Iraq, and he was going to be coming home in a few weeks. And I told her that, you know, I'll get your painting done. And I'm watching television, and the FedEx plane that was delivering the painting was burning on the runway, and this is about 5 or 6 days before he was due home. And I called up FedEx, and they said, yes, your painting was on that plane. And I called her up and I told her the sad news that more than likely the painting was destroyed with everything else on the plane. In the news, all you could see was the ribs. So I dove in one of my painting marathons, which is like painting night and day, and 3 days I just about had it done. And I'm calling it up to call it in, but getting ready to call it in for shipment. And she told me the painting just arrived. I had it double crated in a paper cardboard crate. The whole outside of the crate was seared and burned, but that painting had its own garden angel. So he had it for Christmas. I gave this one to CatholicMilitary.org. The other one I did to raise money to help the chaplains for Bibles, prayer books, and rosaries. And they also did this for other chaplains too. And there's a beautiful song called "In Care of an Angel" that I wrote for her and her husband. Dealing with, you know, that's a picture of the angel that was in my painting. There's a soldier in the angel's arms. This is a really neat piece. The only painting that my two children and I worked on, and it's a 24 by 36. This is one that there'll be no reduction to cost, and we have to share the cost 3 ways. So you have to divide it at 49 into 3, and it was, again, just wonderful experiences that we had. And this one was painting along the Nile. I called it Cleopatra's Barge at one time. The Gitgit Falls in Bali. I still have that one. It is a 30 by 36. It's $44.50, not $8,900. Both of my kids started paintings there. They already sold theirs. A temple lot in Bali is just a very unique Buddhist temple that is surrounded by water when the tide comes in. And it's a mystical place. It's lovely. And it's a 30 by 36, and it's $44.50, not $8,900. Dawn at St. Remy was a wonderful painting that was like an Easter Sunday painting to me in reference to, I was somewhere else in France, and I drove for hours to try to get there. I guess I was in Aix-en-Provence, and I wanted to get there in time for the, no, maybe it was in somewhere, but I was quite a bit ways from St. Remy, and I arrived just in time for the sunrise, and that painting is sold. It was purchased by a very knowledgeable Russian collector who's very familiar with the Impressionists. Dream River was another one that I have a video on this. I'll take pictures of people in front of this painting, and they look like they're angels or something. You'll have that halo of light around them that you see in the painting. And it's a 48 by 48, and it's 11,000, not 2,100. And the color in it is absolutely beautiful. It's one of the more wonderful paintings when it comes to changes of light. And the whole approach of using complementary colors is great. Harmony at Manet's is another great painting. I was working with chords of color that would ring in visual unison. This one is also one of my major paintings from my collection that is normally 2,100, and it's 11,000. I have some bigger ones that are the same price, but I'm not going to. All of them are great buys, including this one. I love Lake Como. That's Como Blue. And whenever, again, when it's this is a 4 by 5 foot piece. You're looking up toward Luciano, Italy, and across the lake on the right-hand side is the little city of Torino. I believe this home was owned by some Italian race car driver. This painting here, I donated to New Orleans Hurricane Relief. It was the largest painting I've had for sale in the gallery, and I valued it at $50,000. It was a 60 by 60, and that's when they had the terrible hurricane down there. A painting of Shrouded Turin. And I used that for my study. I painted that from the shroud, and I used that for studies for other paintings of Jesus I did. This painting here I did as a prayer painting for a young lady who was being taken off the double lung transplant list. And I worked on the same painting over and over again. And then at the end of 3 weeks, every day would be morning, afternoon, early evening, then morning, early afternoon, etc. And the paint was developed with this heavy texture. End of 3 weeks, she went in for a double lung transplant, and that was over 17 years ago, and that double lung transplant is still working. I would later loan this painting to a man who came into my gallery. His wife did. It's quite a story to this one. And she was looking for a painting of the Last Supper. She said her husband was very ill out in the car, and that the doctors told him don't even bother with treatment. His cancer had advanced too far. I told him to come back the next day, and I had some Lord's water, which I shared with him. And they wanted to buy one of my little Heaven's Gate prints, and I gave it to them free. And I said, I want you to take this painting home with you on a loan. I think it has positive energy. And they did, but I said, I'd like to have it back in the fall. And kind of a young lady who I did it for, who had a double lung transplant when she didn't have a chance to have one before, was coming out from Australia to visit me. Well, I never got the painting back. After a couple of years, I found their address and I was going to call them up. But before I could call them up, they called me up. And Emily said, you know, I felt I should call you. And Peter is doing well, but he wanted to bring the painting back himself. Well, you know, 2 years he never brought it back. I said, you know, why don't you just ship it to me? Well, a month went by and I called up and I was talking to Emily. Said, you have the wrong number. And needless to say, I did not get the painting back. But later, I had another lady, I help people when they're ill. And this lady had studied shamanism as far as healing is concerned. And she told me the chances are that they felt the painting in some way was helping keeping him alive, and so they were reluctant to part with it. So I made a notation on my homepage, Emily and Peter, please keep it and don't feel guilty about it. It's yours. It was a special work they were supposed to have. I said I want to see you smile like when I sang the Evergreen Tree to you and your wife. When I did that, he looked gray at first, and by the time I got done, he had color in his face. Let's go down here. Pontiac, this again is along the, I guess it's the Ark River, and it's a bridge across the Ark. And that's where Winston Churchill painting was done. I particularly like the composition of this, and I love that area. It was a great place where people would hike and run. And this is an earlier 9 by 12 cypress painter that I sold for $800. And this is a beautiful one called A Summer Day in France, a 13 by 16, and it's $1,200. And I believe that's sold. I have one that I started. At 78 I got confused. I have another one of a boat along the river, and I'm not sure whether it's that one now. This was the halfway bridge, the bridge to eternity, so to speak, in Canada. It used to go across the whole way, and it was stopped, but it looked like a ramp that you just go right on up. And there was a bridge house on the bridge too that is sold. The headlands of Corfu, Greece. We totally enjoyed painting in Greece, and that was a 14 by 18, and that is sold. And Sundown at Cypress Point, a very heady sundown. Romance in the Seine, it was an 18 by 24. I loved to work with transitions of color, and this was beautiful. Everything was harmonious. Moonlight at Ez, this is in the south of France again, and it's a really neat place. They have a castle up on a hill. I'm talking, just wait a minute. I had a telephone call that I'm going to give a ride to a lady in a rest home. Waimea Sundown was an absolutely beautiful painting, and I love that area. Sundowns in Hawaii are wonderful. So if you have any pictures of Hawaiian sundowns, I can paint them. And we go back down here. Circle of Love, a beautiful painting, looking out at Carmel Point and that. And another soul painting, The Restless Sea at Point Joe. I love the complexities of Point Joe, and I would paint that quite often. The Garden Poetry in Salem, Mass. Is sold, and that was at a garden that right now there are a couple of they're adults now, but their kids would go out and I'd give them paint lessons in that garden, and it was the Arlanders, Lance and his whole family, and the Ocean Prayer. When I was working on this, a cross appeared in the sky, and I was out painting with a lady who would eventually become a minister, an ordained minister. And it was a spiritual experience. I mean, I did not paint it in, but there was one that appeared in the sky. Hawaiian Blue, which is another one of Makapu Point, and that one is sold. That was a 24 by 30. I like the new one better. Sundown at Corfu is 24 by 30, and that's sold, and that was $4,000. Once again, the sundowns are beautiful. And Sundown Dreams. And this is a favorite place on the north shore of, or the north side of Carmel Point. And I used to live down by Carmel Point before I moved to Pebble Beach. That was a 24 by 30, and it's sold. I recently did a daytime, bright afternoon painting of that, which was magnificent as a commission. I feature it on my homepage somewhere. And Return to Benecourt. I'd returned to Benecourt many times. When I fly into France, I'd always, when I get out of the airport, I'd head to Benecourt. It was like, if I'm driving across the country, the first thing I do is go to the ocean and paint it. This was a really cool painting with the wheels of wheat, so to speak. When I started that painting, it was in the dark. I painted the first light of dawn. And that's another one, Morning Mist. It was a 25 by 32 at 4,500. I would not mind revisiting that theme. And Gently Flows the Seine, again in the area of Benecourt, but looking toward Giverny. That was a 25 by 32 at 4,500. The Summer on the Seine, France, was a 25 by 32 at 4,500, and that was further down. the Seine, so to speak. He used to be eaten in Carmel Valley at sundown, and that's like a little pond they had up there. Cloud walking were just beautiful clouds, and that's out at Cypress Point. This gives you an idea of the breadth of my work, so if you're considering a commission. And that's Pacific Sundown. In my Gardens of the World series that was started in England at Seville Gardens, I painted the great English gardens, among other ones. Treasure Island, 30 by 38, sold. That's at Point Lobos on the North Shore. And I think this might be the last one. This was a 4 by 5 foot, this was a study for a 4 by 5 foot commission I had. And there's a study, so you can see how you start with this here, and it's handled broadly, and then it becomes more articulate. Well, I have to be going, so this again gives you a good idea of my work.